Hi everyone, my name is Trevor Boland. I work in Dublin City University and here I'm the Assistive Technology Officer. So in this session, I want to guide you through a presentation called House. And House is a resource that we have available to our students to teach them about accessibility and making documents and presentations accessible. And here, one of the reasons why I have done this is that it is informed by a number of changes, such as the European Accessibility Act that's come about, and that enforces and supports accessibility, digital accessibility in our universities, as well as that nationally we have the National Disability Authority, NDA, that oversee the implementation of that, and a Universal Design for Learning, or UDL for short, that I'm a big advocate of. And this explicitly outlines assistive technology, which links to my role, and accessibility, which is also linked to my role as well, and how I support my students. So here in Dublin City University, we have a growing number of registered students, about 1,200 approximately, of which there are 20 currently in our universities that are blind or visually impaired. And from this small community and growing community of disability students, a number of different, I suppose, awarenesses have grown, and that's really about digital accessibility being one of them, and how they need digital accessibility to make them belong and engage and interact with the curriculum. And one of the stories behind this is something about inclusive group work. So we have a blind student, and in this slide, we'll call the student Aideen. And Aideen has been blind from birth. And Aideen highlighted something to me a number of years ago, which is about the lack of awareness of digital accessibility with her classmates, especially when it came to sharing and co-creating a document or PowerPoint or presentation within the class, as group work has become, I suppose, synonymous as part with the curriculum and how we assess our students. So as a result, with Aideen, a number of questions arose, like who draws attention to the need for an accessible document or presentation, and then who makes it accessible. So the classmates. And if it is the classmates who do this, who brings about the training then for those students? Or maybe it's for all students around accessibility. And then who's delivering the training, and how then, in particular, do we embed the training across our institutions, our education sector? And here, that kind of prompted this need to create an acronym about accessibility, a simple, measurable way of delivering simple content about how we can make 5 key things about accessibility aware to our students. So by taking House, we've broken it down into 5 different levels, taking the H for headings, the O, ornamental or description, addressing alt text for images, the U in House for how we address our our URLs, apologies, and links, and how we create accessible links in our documents and presentations. The S for sans serif and readability, those considerations that we need to make in order to facilitate our fonts to be accessible, and how we lay out our fonts and text so that it is fully accessible to all different types of students. And then finally, the E in evaluate, about using accessibility checkers and leaning into those to support us to make our information as accessible as possible. So by taking House, we've gone a step further and maybe even pitched the idea a number of times about the possibility of embedding accessibility into a rubric. So in your institution, you may use rubrics, or you may use some kind of method of embedding your marking system into your student culture. And here we use rubrics. So I just have a real life example here of a rubric, but then just added accessibility onto the end of it with the idea or the hope that we can start to maybe think about how we can embed accessibility is in our rubric. So luckily, accessibility is measurable, and we can find out if students have or haven't considered accessibility in their essays, documents, reports, and by doing so, maybe this can become a first step about looking at and developing a new awareness and culture around accessibility with our students in mind. and reminding them about how accessibility is part of their remit as well in that inclusive initiative that we need to have within our universities. And by creating accessibility in a rubric, that these ripples can mean that all our students then can create accessible group work situations for that student I mentioned earlier, aiding and making accessible assignments. And as the students progress, they can make accessible theses, dissertations. Even as they become publishers and researchers, they can make digitally accessible articles, and as they go on even further and hopefully become PhDs or doctorate holders, that work that they continue on for the rest of their lives has that embedded notion and awareness about making it accessible to all different types of readers, and even for those who might go into the workplace then afterwards, about how this accessibility awareness and skill is transferable to different situations such as the workplace. So in short, what I'm really advocating is that by looking at House and creating awareness around 5 simple accessibility awarenesses that they can embed into their assignments and group work, that really we're embedding empathy, about how our students can think about inclusion and make it their own business, about accessibility as a transversal or transferable skill to the workplace, or how they research as well, and then how they are part of this inclusion initiative as well as students, and the types of skills that they need to support their awareness of inclusion. And then the other thing is accessibility skills are going to become and like suitable and deemable and worthy of becoming employable. So, in short, if you want to explore more, we have a website here called dcu.ie/students/House of Accessibility. If you want to learn more about this House of Accessibility initiative and why it was developed and what it looks like, and feel free to email me at trevor.boland@dcu.ie for any additional information you need about House. So thanks for listening, and hopefully we can all be part of this accessibility ripple to help our students and society.